Guys, I unknowingly got the mark of the beast. Look. It's true. Oh my God. But first, a bunny rabbit update. Hey, Winston. Everyone wants to know if you're okay. Are you okay? You okay? Yeah, you're okay. He spends a majority of his time just sitting on top of his cage. We leave it open. He's potty trained. He goes in there to use his box. I give him his little treats on top here, his apples and his carrots, but his pelts and water are down here. And this gets cleaned out daily. Between the hours of 5 a.m. and 8 a.m., he goes into the living room. Winston is a free roam bunny rabbit. He's domestic inside the house, free roam. Okay, free range is outside. He's free roam inside. Between 5 and 8 a.m., he goes in, because that's when the fire starts dying out in the wood stove. He goes in there and sits by the wood stove to stay warm. And yesterday morning, I woke up with him on my chest, smelling my nose, waking me up because the fire was out. And so I got up and restarted the fire. He is very spoiled, aren't you, Winston? Here's our little outside bunnies. Guys, the camera is wanting to focus on the wire. Let's see if I can zoom in. Oh man, look at that. Oh, down there's the mommy. She knows, hey, she's like, hey, the guy that gives me apples and carrots is here. Oh, there comes one of the little black ones. Look at that. Guys, I was wrong. I thought we had 12, but we have 8. We've got 2 albinos, 2 that are white. Their eyes are pink. They're just running around all over the place in there. And then we got 2, and then we got 2 black ones. We got 2 brown ones. That's 6. Oh no, we got like 4 black ones. But they are alive and well, guys. We're keeping them, you know, I hate keeping animals closed up, but there's so much danger here with the foxes and the hoxes, the raccoons and everything else. But they are just, look at that. Aren't they just so cute? Oh, they're adorable. Look at that. Get some water. Get some water. Now, that's actually just a mole I've had my whole life, and I'm trying to show off my guns, you know, because I split and stacked my own firewood. I took the injection on the other arm. Listen to this. So, over the last few days, I've been finding out that I have taken on the mark of the beast. Yes. How did I find this out? By doing something you should never, ever, ever do when you create content for social media. I was reading the comments. Oh my gosh. So here's what's going on. A couple weeks ago, as of this recording, I made a video called God Told Me to Deliver This Message. And I shared with many of you, tens of thousands of you so far and counting, about helping somebody who needed some help at a pharmacy. When I went in to get my injection, the first of 2, and I, you know, I help people sometimes, but rarely do I share that, because I do believe that if you help, and then you go around running your mouth about helping, you're not doing it to help that person. You're doing it so you can get credit for having done it. That's arrogance. That's arrogance. And when you see people like that, it's a turnoff, okay? If you want to help, to genuinely help somebody because they need help, do it. And then shut up. Just keep your mouth shut about it. You know, they have all these signs. You know, I live right outside of Charlottesville, Virginia, and one of the things Charlottesville is known for is its yard signs. You know, I delivered mail in town for 6 months when I had to go get a real job there for a while. And man, you know, I like to read. I read like 1 to 2 books a week. I read a lot. And because I'm a writer. So, you know, any writer that doesn't read is probably not a very good writer. But man, I could get my daily reading in just from reading the yard signs. And there was this one yard sign that I saw everywhere that I liked. It said, practice random acts of kindness. But if I were to amend that, I would say practice random acts of kindness, but don't tell anybody about it. Because that kind of takes away That takes away all of the humility, or not. Is that right? Yeah, humility. Yeah. So anyway, but I helped this lady at the pharmacy a couple weeks ago. I was in there to get the first of 2 injections, and she didn't have the money to pay her bill, so I paid it for her. And I shared that because I felt as if there had been a burden placed upon my heart to do so. I'm going to leave it at that. Let's leave it at that, because, man, the things I've read in the comments, I can see why they say don't read the comments, when you create content for social media. But a higher power, I'm going to get blasted for that one, wanted me to tell that story because the message was just to help others, despite anything else, skin color, nationality, sexual preference, political leanings, whatever. If you see somebody that needs help and you have the ability to help them, help them. So I did that. Well, I have been blasted since then because I mentioned that I was there at this pharmacy, a chain pharmacy in the first place, to get the injection. And people have made comments like, wow, I really liked your story until you admitted to taking on the mark of the beast. I'm like, what's that mean? Like, oh, wow. You seemed like a cool guy until you admitted to taking on the mark of the beast. And I'm like, huh? And they were like, wow, I really respected you because you were talking about, a higher power and blah, blah, blah. But then you took on the mark of the beast. And I'm like, what are they talking about? So I Googled it. And I guess it's the injection. There is a group, or there are some people out there that considers this to be the mark of the beast and blah, blah, blah. So I thought, wow, I started thinking about it. Whew. And I had to look some stuff up. Now listen, here's where I'm going to use my most famous preface on most of these videos that I make. I can only control what I say. I cannot control how you take what I say, okay? I'm not a doctor, and I ain't no scientist. That's why I try to speak English, because I know most of you aren't scientists either. I can only share with you my experiences, okay? I heard it said once, you can argue against my opinion, which is true, but you can't really argue against my experience. You can try, but what happened, brah. And this is my experience. My experience was I was born in 1973. And before I was allowed to go to school in 1979 or 1978, whatever, I had to take certain injections, measles, polio, all these things, or I wasn't allowed to go play with the other kids or whatever, learn how, to read and write and whatever. So that I took those and I went on my merry way. But what I didn't know until today, because I Googled this, because I was like, what's this in? I was trying to figure out, why is it that this injection that I recently got is considered the mark of the beast? Well, what I found by doing a simple Google search was that back in the 1960s, 1963, I think is when, and again, fact check me here, guys, because I was Googling this stuff today while I was doing laundry and washing dishes. I love my wife and I appreciate my wife. Listen, I don't believe in this whole, there's man's work and there's women's work and all that. There's work, and we split it up. And the majority of mine entails the stuff that takes place outside of the house, like mowing our 6.05 acres. 3 of it. We're letting some of it reforest. Splitting the wood, as you saw by that. You saw that gun, man? Hey, that's not photoshopped. You saw that, and I'm almost 50. She does all that inside stuff. And, her and our son, they're visiting family over in the Philippines right now. So I'm doing the inside stuff just for me. She does it for all 3 of us. I'm just doing it for me. And I'm like, wow. I've always appreciated my wife and every single thing she does around here. Plus, I just love the hell out of her. Oh, I said hell. Am I going to go there? I'm getting to it, guys. what she does, it's so funny. I'll come outside and I'll work for an hour. Maybe I'll weed eat or something, cut down a bunch of weeds. And the rest of the day, I just talk about all the hard work I did, everything I did. While the whole time, the entire house is immaculate. I mean, this woman, she keeps a clean house. There's not a dirty dish in the house, though we eat 3 meals a day, every day, that she cooks and prepares. Home cooked stuff, man. This ain't no buy it by the box, follow these directions, or put it in the microwave, or bake it for 20. Home cooked meals. I never have dirty clothes because this stuff's always clean, folded, put in its place. And I'll be going on and on. Oh, I worked so hard today. I weeded for, oh my gosh, I worked so hard. I don't know how much longer I'm going to be able to work like this. And she just goes, yeah, yeah. And she's on her cell phone. I'm like, what have you done today? Have you done anything other than scroll on your phone today? And she gives me a look, and she, man, I kind of have an idea now what she does. And I'm just doing it for me. She does it for 3. Mind blown. Okay, so anyway, let's skip the whole opinion thing and get straight to the story. So, when I lived in the Philippines for 6 years, I had a good friend named Ray. He was my best friend. He was an Englishman. He was 70 at the time. I was 30, late 30s, almost 40. Ray is to this day, one of the wisest human beings I've ever met in my life. When he spoke, I listened. So me and Ray are hanging out on the beach one day, throwing back cold ones, and this woman comes up the beach. She's carrying a towel over her arm in one arm, and she's got like a bottle of oil in the other one. She's saying, massage, massage, massage. And we're like, no thanks, no thanks. The woman, she was blind. She couldn't see. She was blind. Ray said to me, he said, now's not the time to get a massage because we've been throwing back some cold ones and our blood pressure's high and it could damage your tissues. It could damage your veins. He said, but the next time you want a massage, you should really go get a massage from the blind massage vendors or the blind masseuse people. And I was like, really? And he goes, yeah. He goes, it's amazing, excuse me, they say that when you lose one sense, your other senses become stronger. And Ray said that since these folks could not see, they could smell better, they could hear better, they could feel better. And he said, they'll go up and down the beaches, and you'll say, yeah, sure, if you want to get a massage. They'll throw their towel out. You lay there on the sand on the beach, right there, in front of everybody. And they give you a massage. He said it's the best massage you'll ever get. It's like, because they've learned to rely so much upon touch. They can sense where you have your stress knots, where you're tense, where you're knotted up from maybe exertion, all that weed eating and stuff my wife does in the house. So I said, okay, I'll remember that, Ray. So about a week or so went by, and I wanted a massage. And it was so great because, massage therapy, I am an avid practitioner in that. My wife dearly does it for me, and I do it for her. This is give and take. Weekly, she gives me a 1-hour full body massage, and weekly I give her a 1-hour full body massage. Very common in Eastern culture, the understanding that, man, you're carrying around all this stress, all this stuff at work and worries and whatever. Man, rub that crap out. Just rub it out, And we even have a massage table. And what I love is we will set that thing up in front of the wood stove in the winter, and we'll put take a big pot, put water and lemons in it, and Dearly puts this other stuff in it and puts it on the wood stove, and this stuff goes out throughout the living room, and oh my gosh, it's like not a care in the world, not a stress knot in my back. I could have split wood for 3 hours that day, and after an hour on that table, it's like heaven, okay? Nope, I'm going to get blasted for that. So anyway, back to the story. I know I have a tendency to get off target here. So I go to one of the blind massage parlors, and there's a gentleman who ends up giving me the massage that day. He's probably 40 years old, and I was late 30s, close to 40. We're about the same age. Man, it was great. It was amazing. I mean, it was wonderful. But I asked him, I said, if you don't mind me asking, how did you lose your eyesight, or were you born blind? And he said, no, I wasn't born blind. He's Filipino, and he spoke good English. He said, I lost my eyesight around 6 years old. And I said, how? And he said, well, I contracted measles. And as a result of that, I lost my vision. I've been blind for the last 30 plus years. I was like, measles? What are you talking about, measles? Man, come on. I was like, I got, vaccinated for that before I was even allowed to go to school in the U.S. and polio and all that stuff. And he said, sir, you're not in the U.S. You're in the Philippines. You're in a third world country. And I was like, well, you guys have that here, right? Because you don't hear about people in the U.S. getting measles. You don't hear about people in the U.S. getting polio. This stuff's been eradicated. Part of my Google search today, and again, fact check me here, guys. I'm not trying to give misinformation. There's enough of that garbage out there on the internet. I don't want to add to it. So make sure to fact check me on this. But I believe my findings were that we stopped giving the polio vaccine in 2001, I think, here in the U.S. because it's pretty much been eradicated, and it only exists in 2 other countries now. I think Yemen and Afghanistan. But again, fact check me. I have no agenda here. I have no agenda other than to tell you my personal experiences and to address this nonsense about me being marked by the beast. That was a birthmark I've had my entire life. I took the injection over here. So anyway, I went home after that. I talked to Dearly, and I was like, I don't understand. Here's this man who's been blind for the last 30 years because he contracted a disease that in my country we've pretty much eradicated because of vaccinations. And she explained to me how vaccines, at least back then, worked in the Philippines. They have them, yes. But here's how it works. Okay, neighborhoods in the Philippines are called barangays, barangay. And each neighborhood or each barangay has what's called a barangay hall, which is like a city hall. And they have what's called a barangay captain, which is the mayor type. And like monthly or quarterly, the Filipino government will go to these barangay halls to freely administer these vaccines for like measles, polio, etc., etc. But the families have got to get up off their backsides and take their kids down there to receive the injections. That's all they have to do. They have to get up, take their kids, go down there, get them, go home. They wouldn't do it. Now, was it because they believed it was the mark of the beast, or no? They just wouldn't do it. And that's what happened to this guy who gave me that massage that day. His parents, his mother, his father just didn't want to get up and take their kids down there to the barangay hall and get the injections that day. And so this little kid, man who, when he was a little kid at 6 years old, contracted measles and lost his eyesight, has been blind the rest of his life ever since. Now, the Philippine government, once they realized this was going on, it was an issue of apathy, just apathy. And I can only control what I say. I cannot control how you take what I say. I mean no disrespect by this in any way, shape, or form. I'm just telling you about my experience because I saw it when I lived there for 6 years. So the people that would go into the barangays to administer the injections would start going house to house, hut to hut throughout the village, and it drastically reduced the contraction of stuff like measles, polio, which of course cut down the outcome of that, blindness and whatnot. So this whole mark of the beast thing, here's the deal. Because I was like, why this one? Why this injection? Why have I been accused of taking on the mark of the beast because of this one? Because once upon a time, long time ago, when I was 3 or 4 or 5 years old, when I had no say in it, wasn't I taken to a medical facility to receive the other injections for the other things like polio, measles, and blah, 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 blah? Yeah. Well, why wasn't that the mark of the beast? Well, as it turns out, it was. Back then, people were saying the exact same daggone thing that they're saying now about this one. My, how the times have not changed. I'm not a doctor and I'm not a scientist. But I live in a beautiful world. I just want to keep seeing it for a while. It's worth looking at.